Hi guys, today is the day that we've been promised. The JFK files will finally be released. Is it going to happen, and what's going to be in those papers? And what really happened that day? That's what I really want to see down there in the comment section. Let me grab something real quick. What I really want to know, though, is what you guys think actually happened. And are we going to get a real story? Are we going to get the real truth, or are we going to get a bunch more lies, or are we just going to get the same story we've gotten for the last 50 flipping years? I don't know. I hope we get a real story. I hope we get something substantial, something of substance. But I don't know exactly what we're going to get here. We're going to show you guys a little bit of difference here too. I'm talking right now through the iPhone SE microphone. Right now I'm going to plug in lavalier mic made for the SE. But what in the world happened on this day? There are so many crazy conspiracies out there. And I'm going to show you guys just quickly how simple this is. I just plug this right into the headphone jack. If you make your own YouTube live videos, this one has like a little shotgun looking mic thing on it, but just going to put it real neatly on your lapel somewhere where hopefully you can be heard clearly. And let's just jump right into it. Is Trump the kind of guy that would release this kind of thing? And are people going to let him release it? There's a lot of people out there that are saying that he's getting a lot of pushback. He's getting a lot of pushback from the CIA, a lot of other people. Roger Stone, a guy who's been a political analyst, been involved in this for super long time. Has been a friend of Donald Trump for about 45 years. Has said outright that that he advised him, hey, you should come out with this. Hey David, I'm not getting a live alert on your phone and you're subscribed to me. I wonder why. You come here for a minute. I don't know if anyone's getting live alerts right now. Anybody let me know if you're out there. It says, hey, whoever's out there right now, what's going on with the JFK assassination? Are we going to get an actual release? What actually happened? Let's go into the issues of Lee Harvey Oswald. Does anyone know that Lee Harvey Oswald moved to Russia for over 10 years before this happened? He had plans to move to Cuba afterwards. He'd been in Mexico a few weeks before. There are a lot of moving parts to this thing. For anybody to know, November 22nd, 1963 was the day that John F. Kennedy was killed. In 1992, the papers were supposed to be released. The rest of the papers telling us, exactly what happened, what was found in the investigation. There was obviously things that they did not want released at that time. They said, we're going to seal this, and we're not going to be able to release it for 25 years. And only the president has the right to veto these papers coming out. Well, here we are today, 25 years later, waiting for the release of those papers. A lot of people weren't even alive when that happened. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory. JFK, of course, was an American statesman who served as the 35th President of the United States. He was assassinated November 22nd, 1963. Fun fact, about 3 weeks before that, my wife's grandfather was actually with him in Whiskeytown Dam in Northern California, dedicating the dam. in the small, tiny town of Whiskey Town, California. I doubt too many of you have ever been there. But, Kennedy was born in Brookline, Massachusetts. He was definitely a guy that beat to his own drum. He wanted to change a lot of things. He stopped the government from what we now know happened over there in Cuba, the things that were, released on the Pentagon Papers, that we had planned to go over to Cuba and destroy planes in Cuba. All the secretaries of states and everybody had signed off on this, that we were going to blow up an airliner with college students in it. We had hired Cuban operatives to make it look like a false flag attack. We were going to blow up one of our own submarines. You can look this up online. We had planned to go to war with Cuba. And there was a bunch of different things. A bunch of different people knew about this. And the only reason that it didn't happen is that John F. Kennedy put the veto on it. You can look this up, all up online, though. They literally planned to blow up a plane with our college students on it. What would these guys, what would these guys not do at this point? Obviously, he was able to stop us. To stop that. That upset a lot of people. There was a lot of other things that Kennedy wanted. He wanted to go back to the gold standard. He talked about that a lot. He had talked about, just like, Ike did, Dwight Eisenhower, he talked about the military compound, how that was, of big concern to him. He had talked about something that a lot of people don't know of, too, is not backing our money up with gold, but backing up with silver, which troubled a lot of bankers. A lot of bankers. And is Trump the guy? Is Trump the guy that's just, people look at him like he's the Joker president. Like the Joker's running the country and he's just going to cause the chaos. I don't know. I don't know what he'll do, but if anybody's going to do this, I think it's going to be Trump. David. So, I think it's going to be Trump if anybody's going to release this. They're bringing the papers to his desk right now. He is waiting on some of the papers. What are these papers going to have in it? What do you guys think these papers are going to have in it? There's the magic bullet theory. The one bullet killed Lee Harvey Oswald. Let's go into Lee Harvey Oswald a little bit. Lee Harvey Oswald was former U.S. Marine, and he was a Marxist. I don't know if a lot of people knew that. He's credited with assassinating, of course, John F. Kennedy on November 22nd of 1963. According to 4 federal government investigators and 1 municipal investigation, Oswald shot and killed Kennedy as the president traveled by motorcade through Dealey Palace in the city of Dallas, Texas. Oswald was honorably discharged from the Marine Corps and defected to the Soviet Union in October 1959. That was about 4 years before Kennedy was assassinated. He lived in the Belarusian city of Minsk until June 1962, at which time he returned to the United States with his Russian wife. Interesting. I didn't know this until just recently, actually. Marina, and eventually settled in Dallas. So here's a little bit of a thing. Russia has came out and commented on this. This is from the Independent. It says, JFK files, Russia denies any connection to President Trump's assassination before release of documents. It is information and not disinformation that people want, according to the Russian Foreign Ministry. So they're definitely addressing this. Russia has preemptively denied ties to any plot to assassinate late President John F. Kennedy, this according to the Independent, ahead of the expected release of thousands of archived records. The National Archives was due to release a trove of documents related to the November 22nd, 1963 assassination on Thursday, which of course is today. one of several conspiracy theories about Mr. Kennedy's killer, Lee Harvey Oswald, that he was in contact with then Soviet intelligence services or was given training by them while he was on a visit to the USSR. That is very interesting, and it's really interesting that there's supposedly, all these ties between Russia and Trump, and now they're trying to make ties between Russia and Kennedy, and Trump's the one that's talking about letting the Kennedy files out. Now, is he just feeding his base? Is he going to bluff out at the last minute? I don't know. But this is what the Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said. She said, if even here wild accusations are hurled at Russia, that would be a shame, because it is misinformation. It is information and not disinformation that people want. Excuse me. I can't even imagine how one can distort this topic to such a degree, she reportedly said. Despite no official accusations having been voiced publicly by the U.S. government or police authorities. So for some reason, Russia decided to come out this week and say, we had nothing to do with the Kennedy assassinations. Nobody asked them. Nobody asked them. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova came forward. She said, even if here wild accusations are hurled at Russia, that would be a shame, because it is information and not disinformation that people want. I can't even imagine how one can distort this topic to such a degree, she reportedly said, despite no official accusations having been voiced publicly by the U.S. government or police authorities. The majority of the records relating to the case, about 88%, have been available to the public since the 1990s. In July of 2017, there was a release of documents related to the tragic injury event. Those documents are posted on the CIA agency website. I'll be putting a link down below after this video to be able to go to that. It is expected that this release will contain more information about Oswald and his life in the months leading up to the assassination of Dallas, Texas, including a trip to Mexico in September of 1963. So you wanted to know what's going to be in these papers. Pretty much somebody knows that it sounds like there's definitely going to be some more information in these papers about Oswald's life in the months leading up to the assassination in Dallas. That it included a trip to Mexico in September of 1963, just a couple months before JFK was shot. So, I mean, that in itself is pretty big, right? What do you guys think about some of these things, like the magic bullet? There's a lot of different things out there. There's a lot of different stories out there. There's a lot of different speculations out there about what really happened that day. But I don't know. I have no idea what happened. You probably heard something called the single bullet theory. So I'm going to go through what the single bullet theory is. Single bullet theory, as is commonly called by its critics, was introduced by the Warren Commission in its investigation of the assassinations of John F. Kennedy to explain what happened to the bullet that struck Kennedy in the back and exited through his throat. Given the lack of a damage to the presidential limousine consistent with it having struck by a high-velocity bullet, and the fact that the Texas governor, John Connally, was wounded and was seated on a jumper about 1.5 feet away in front and slightly to the left of the president, the commission concluded they were likely struck by the same bullet. Well, of course they concluded that. They're going to conclude it either way at that time. There was so many things being fabricated at the time, definitely between us and Cuba, straining Cuban relations, where our own government wrote up a whole bunch of papers about how we were going to blow up our own airliners, blame it on the Cubans. We're going to blow up our own submarine, blame it on the Cubans. Anybody out there, did you guys know that? Did you guys have any idea that that was a thing. That's part of the most insane thing that's ever happened in the history of the country to me. And it's, people act like it never happened. Look that up. U.S. plan to destroy its, kill college students, destroy its own planes, destroy its own submarines. They were hiring Cuban spies to jump over the Cuban border, kill Americans, come back, blame it on the Cuban government. They were working very, very hard to start a war between us and Cuba at that time, and Kennedy vetoed the paper. All the Secretary of States were on this. There were so many big names on this at this time. Hey, basically, everybody was signed off on this, and Kennedy seen this and said, have you lost your freaking mind? If it wasn't for Kennedy, we would have went to war with Cuba on a complete false flag, which makes me think, you know, how many times have we went to war on a false flag at other times? What do you guys think out there? It's a lot of different things that just trouble me about this. Theory of the single bullet. It was generally credited to the Warren Commission. Like I said, a United States Senator from Pennsylvania. He posits that a single bullet, known as Warren Commission Exhibit 399, caused all the wounds to the governor and the non-fatal wounds to the president. Not sure, non-fatal wounds. Non-fatal wounds to the governor, not the president. According to the single bullet theory, a 3-centimeter long copper jacket, lead core, 52 millimeter miniature rifle bullet fired from the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository passed through President Kennedy's neck and Governor Connolly's chest and wrist and embedded itself in the governor's thigh. If so, this bullet traversed 15 layers of clothing, 7 layers of skin, and approximately 15 inches of tissue, struck a necktie knot, removed 4 inches of rib, and shattered a radius bone. That's one fucking magic bullet. The bullet was found on a gurney in the corridor at the Parkland Memorial Hospital in Dallas after the assassination. The Warren Commission found that this gurney was the one that had borne Governor Connolly. This bullet became a key commission exhibit. Its copper jacket was completely intact. While the bullet nose appeared normal, the tail was compressed laterally on one side. I don't know if this is possible. It's been proven that the shot was possible. There's no doubt of that. In its conclusion, the Warren Commission found persuasive evidence from the experts that a single bullet caused the president's neck wound and all the wounds in Governor Connolly. It acknowledged that there was a difference of opinion. So they acknowledged there was a difference in opinion among members of the actual commission. So they weren't even in agreement as to the probability that stated that the theory was not essential to its conclusions, and that all members had no doubt that all shots were fired from the 6th floor window of the depository building. So they're saying even if there was 2 bullets, they're all in agreement that it all came from the building where Lee Harvey Oswald was. Well, of course. Now, could that bullet have been shot from there? A lot of people have made that shot since then. A lot of people that weren't the greatest marksmen. So there's a lot of things going, a lot of people out there are saying, who could have made that shot? It was an unmakeable shot. It definitely was not an unmakeable shot by any stretch of the imagination. So that much, that much has been proven. So, I'm happy with that. Even Joe Rogan, in the Joe Rogan Experience, he went out and he took that shot. He's not a sniper, but many other guys that have been trained to do that have taken that shot, and apparently it's not the most difficult shot in the world, even with the conditions that were there that day. The magic bullet thing, no one has been able to reproduce that, though. That just seems like an unreproducible thing to me. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of things that you do. You drop a coin and it lands in a certain place in a certain way, and you think, if you did that 1,000,000 times or 100 or 1,000 times or whatever, there's no way you could duplicate that. Sometimes crazy things just do happen that we try to replicate over and over and over again, and we're not able to do them. This magic bullet theory definitely seems to go against the logic of theory, though, or the theory of logic. It's absolutely insane. Like I said, the single bullet, or magic bullet as commonly called, was introduced by the Warren Commission, its investigation of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, to explain what happened to the bullet that struck Kennedy in the back and exited through his throat. Given the lack of damage to the presidential limousine, consistent with it having been struck by a high-velocity bullet, and the fact that Texas Governor John Connally was wounded and was seated on a jumper seat 1.5 feet in front of and slightly to the left of the president, the commission concluded that they were likely struck by the same bullet. The theory generally credited the Warren Commission staffer Arlen Specter. You guys have heard of Specter. You hear Arlen Specter, or just the word Specter. That's where it comes from. He's one of the magic bullet guys. So maybe he's part of the conspiracy. I don't know, Mr. Specter. I don't know. He's probably dead somewhere. No, like Roger Stone will probably end up here pretty soon. No, I don't know. But so Warren Commission Exhibit 399, also known as CE 399, caused all the wounds, according to the commission, to the governor, and the non-fatal wounds to the president. According to the single bullet theory, a 3mm long copper jacket, lead core, 6.5 by 52 millimeter Banachir Carcano rifle bullet fired from the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository passed through President Kennedy's neck, Governor Connally's chest and wrist, and embedded itself into the governor's thigh. So this bullet, this magic bullet, went through Kennedy's neck, through Governor Connally's chest and wrist, so your chest and your wrist, and then somehow ended up in his thigh. So if there's somebody next to me and there's a bullet, so this person's behind me, he's going to be behind me to the right. If Kennedy is behind me, he would be behind me to the right. So Kennedy gets shot from the back, it exits through his neck. I'm not sure how much taller Connally was, but then as it exits through his neck, it hits Governor Connally's chest. So he had to have been turning around, maybe standing up. I don't remember from the actual picture, but he's standing up and it hits his chest. Then, so maybe he's standing and he's waving, and somehow it hits his chest and somehow goes up, I don't know if ricochets onto his hand, but then if he's holding his hand up, somehow this bullet comes from his hand into his thigh. So now this bullet, Kennedy would be sitting here behind me. This bullet is going through Kennedy's neck. It's hitting Connally in the chest right here, going through Connally's hand into Connally's thigh. Can anyone explain that to me? I don't see how that's possible. It's not possible. Oh, this is insane. JFK file release live updates. Trump to declassify documents, of course. Julian Assange has tweeted here just recently, 38 minutes ago. JFK files to be released today. Conspiracy theorists prepping new conspiracies about how the real files weren't released. 28 minutes ago, Julian Assange is waiting on the delay. U.S. intelligence agencies now seem to be determined to make Trump look weak by delaying JFK files after he promised their release today. So NBC is now reporting that as of this afternoon, The memo specifying which material the CIA, State Department, and other agencies still want to keep under wraps has not made it to Mr. Trump's desk. They've had 25 years to get these papers together. Today's the deadline. 25 years ago, they still have not been able to organize these papers and get them to his desk because they got to figure out what they need to black out and what might hurt national security, in their words. They said there's a mad scramble going on in the executive branch to get this done, one official told NBC News. The CIA is asking only for some redactions, not for all the documents to be held, the official said, but the other agencies involved in the process have not yet finished submissions. Not surprised at all. If you're just tuning in now, this still could be happening at any time. The JFK files are set to be released today. Today is supposed to be the due date. Trump said that basically he's going to release the files. CIA is saying they need redactions. CIA and the FBI have yet to put the declassified documents on Trump's desk to sign. And he's just the guy to release something like this. He's just the joker in the deck as president that's going to do something like that. Let's go into Roger Stone. If you guys don't know who Roger Stone is, he says he laid out the case for Trump to allow the release of the JFK assassination files. Roger Stone's been a friend of Donald Trump for about 45 years. He claims to have played a role in President Trump's tentative decision to allow the release of the classified files related to President John F. Kennedy. This, according to the Washington Examiner. Heavy hand. He says he didn't use a heavy hand. He says he merely laid out the case for transparency. Stone said in a brief email to the Washington Examiner on Saturday when asked about the phone call he claims to have had with Trump on Wednesday. In a tweet Saturday morning, of course, Trump shocked many by saying that subject to the receipt of further information, he would allow the release of the 3,100 documents primarily from the CIA and FBI, which are due by October 26 via a law signed 25 years ago by President George H.W. Bush. Was President George H.W. Bush expecting to be dead by then? So there was some communication between the head of the CIA, I believe it is J. Edgar Hoover, and George H.W. Bush around the time of Kennedy's assassination. So a lot of people speculate that Bush pushed this back as far as he could, 25 years, because possibly the Bush family was involved in this. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they were involved in this or not, but if anything, this is crazy. That would be crazy. What if the Bush family were involved in it? 25 years later, man, it's a good thing for us, I guess, that Jeb Bush is not in there. If he was the one to not declassify him, people would be pitching a fit then. He would have to release everything or act like he released everything. But what do you guys think about Russia coming out and saying that they deny any connections to President's assassination before release of documents? Russia wasn't even asked by the United States, and they just come out this week and they say they deny any connections to the President's assassination before these documents are released. It is information and not disinformation that people want, according to the Russian Foreign Ministry. They put themselves out in a conversation that they weren't even involved in. This is crazy. Russia has preemptively denied ties to any plot to assassinate late President John F. Kennedy, ahead of the expected release of thousands of archived records. This according to The Independent. The National Archives were due to release a trove of documents related to the November 22nd, 1963 assassination on Thursday. One of several conspiracy theories about Mr. Kennedy's killer, Lee Harvey Oswald, is that he was in contact with then Soviet intelligence services or was given training by them while he was on a visit to Russia. For those of you that don't know, In 1959, when Lee Harvey Oswald got a honorable discharge from the military, he moved to Russia for about 4 years, came back with his Russian wife. 4 years later, Lee Harvey Oswald's assassinated. He was also in Mexico about 3 weeks before the assassination, which has got a lot of people a little nervous there too. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said, if even here wild, and this is her words, if even here wild insinuations are hurled at Russia, that would be a shame because it is information and not disinformation that people want. I can't even imagine how one can distort this topic to such a degree, she reportedly said, despite no official accusations having been voiced publicly by the U.S. government or police authorities. What do you guys think? What could Russia's motive be for coming out and denying having anything to do with Kennedy's assassination before these papers are released? And nobody asked them. Nobody asked them to begin with. It's like you going, commenting on a murder that nobody's suspecting you of and being like, yeah, I just want to let everybody know I had nothing to do with that. What we're here is looking for information and not disinformation. And anything else would be, would be against the better interests. That doesn't even make sense. There was July 2017 release of documents related to the assassination, of course. These documents will be posted in the agency's website. So they're not posted yet. So the July 17th release of documents related will also be posted here soon. I will be posting the links to those files down below. It is expected this latest release will contain more information about Oswald and his life in the months leading up to the assassination in Dallas, Texas, including he took to Mexico in September 1963. So just a few months before Kennedy was assassinated. It will contain at least 3,000 files, each of which could have hundreds of documents. I'm really excited to get my hands on this. I don't know about you guys. I remember as a kid going to in Eastern Washington, what was called the grocery outlet in Walla Walla, and I rented a VHS tape, and it was on the Kennedy conspiracy. And I was really interested in it, and they were saying soon that they were going to release, the findings of this thing. So I listened to this VHS tape when I'm a kid, 14 years old. I listened to the whole thing and I look into it and I say, hey, these papers are supposed to have been released. And then I find out by talking to some other people that no, they got pushed back. George H.W. Bush didn't sign off on them. They got pushed back 25 more years. So here I am 25 years later after watching that video, waiting in suspense to find out what these papers have in them. I am thoroughly enthused to find out what's in them. How big of a part did Roger Stone play in this? He claims to have played a role in President Trump's tentative decision to allow the release of classified files related to former President John F. Kennedy's assassination in 1963, but he dismisses the notion that he levied a heavy hand in steering the commander-in-chief in any one direction. This from the Washington Examiner. Roger Stone on Twitter said, sorry, but there is substantial evidence connecting Ted Cruz's sleazeball father and Oswald. Interview Judith Baker. So Roger Stone, holy shit. I didn't know about this until just right now. Roger Stone said that there was substantial evidence connecting Ted Cruz's father and Harvey Oswald from an interview with Judith Baker. So there are so many moving parts to this. What is true, what it's not. Roger Stone, if you don't know, has been in the intelligence community for many, many years. He's been a personal friend to President Trump for 45 years. And that's why I think Roger Stone was able to push Trump into releasing these documents. me, guys. I am having a coughing fit. But this is a great day. This is like a holiday. We're waiting for the release of these papers. Politico came out with what was Lee Harvey Oswald doing in Mexico. They looked into this a little bit more. Much about his trip. Weeks before the assassination remains unexamined. So I said, what if the answers to many persistent questions surrounding the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy lie not in Dallas or Washington, D.C., but in the streets of a foreign capital most Americans have never associated with the president's murder in Mexico City? Only hours after shots rang in Dealey Plaza on November 22, 1963, U.S. Ambassador, this is the U.S. Ambassador saying this, Thomas C. Mann, told colleagues in the American Embassy in Mexico that he was certain Lee Harvey Oswald had not acted alone in killing JFK. So this is bigger than any papers that will be released today. How many of you heard this? Hours after Kennedy was shot in the Dealey Plaza on November 22, 1963, U.S. Ambassador Thomas Mann told colleagues in the American Embassy in Mexico that he was certain Lee Harvey Oswald had not acted alone in killing JFK. What did Thomas C. Mann know? Did he have interactions with Oswald? Oswald had visited Mexico City several weeks earlier, apparently, to obtain a visa that would allow the self-proclaimed Marxist to defect to Cuba, and Mann, a veteran diplomat, suspected that a plot to kill Kennedy had been hatched on Mexican soil. So this was way back there in 1963. 1963, this U.S. ambassador in Mexico, Thomas C. Mann, had suspected that Lee Harvey Oswald was there plotting to kill the president. Why he didn't tell anybody? I don't know. Maybe he did. He's a veteran diplomat anyways. He suspected that a plot to kill Kennedy had been hatched on Mexican soil during Oswald's encounter there with Cuban diplomats and Mexicans who supported Fidel Castro's revolution. How did Mann know about these meetings? It turned out that the CIA had Oswald under surveillance in the Mexican capital after he had shown up at both the Cuban and Soviet embassies there. So months before the assassination, the CIA had contact with Oswald. Oswald had contact. He'd been in Russia. He had just left Russia a few months before this had happened. Then he's down in Mexico, and he has contact, obvious contact that's not being denied with Mexican diplomats. Then the U.S. Embassy leader, one of those guys, says he is certain that weeks before that Oswald is going to come to the United States and kill the president. And they did it close to Mexico. They did it in Texas. This is something that's never been brought up to me. Mann told the congressional investigators that he was under the impression that the same incredible shutdown order had been given by the CIA to the spy agency station's chief in Mexico, Winston Scott. In memoirs quietly declassified in the 1990s, I want to look this up now, after his death, Scott confirmed that he too suspected that Oswald was an agent of a foreign power who may have been part of a conspiracy to kill Kennedy, though Scott did not suggest that the CIA's investigation was shut down. So, from what I see, what's very likely to come out in these papers, if anything, is not the CIA's involvement in the assassination of Kennedy. It will be the involvement of diplomats either in Mexico and or Russia. And there are a lot of people coming out and say this. A lot of people. What happened in Mexico City in the weeks before JFK's murder? It's clear from government files that have already been declassified in recent decades that Oswald's 6-day trip to Mexico was never adequately investigated by the CIA, the FBI, and the State Department. As a result, by the Warren Commission, the panel named President Lyndon Johnson to investigate the assassination. Of course, Lyndon Johnson's been brought up in this a lot. There are so many moving parts to this thing. There are so many people that could have been involved. Somebody's name's coming out in these papers. It might not be an American. It might not be CIA, FBI, but somebody's names, I guarantee you, are coming out in these papers. Russia denying any connection to the president's assassination before the release of documents without even being asked. U.S. diplomats in Mexico saying that they basically knew that Lee Harvey Oswald was going to assassinate the president. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to say something weird was going on here. Am I off base here? I don't think so. Obviously, there was something crazy going on here. Something happened, something that we still don't know about, and we're going to find out in these papers. But it's probably going to have something to do, I imagine, with Mexico and Russia. Like I said before, Lee Harvey Oswald, he not only was a U.S. Marine, he was a Marxist. He supposedly assassinated John F. Kennedy on November 22nd, 1963. Maybe he took the shot, maybe he didn't, I don't know. According to 4 federal government investigators and 1 municipal investigator, Oswald shot and killed Kennedy as the president traveled by motorcade through Dealey Plaza in the city of Dallas, Texas. Oswald was honorably discharged from the Marine Corps and defected to the Soviet Union in October of 1959, so about 4 years before Kennedy was shot. 3 years. He lived in the Belarusian city of Minsk until June 1962, at which time he returned to the United States with his Russian wife Marina and eventually settled in Dallas, Texas. So November 1962. So June, July, August, September, October, November. So in those 5 months, Lee Harvey Oswald left Russia, went down to Mexico for 3 weeks, went and killed the president. We don't know why he moved to Russia to begin with after leaving the Marines. Following the fatal shooting of Kennedy, Oswald was initially arrested. And this is what a lot of people don't know. Oswald was originally arrested for the murder of police officer J.D. Tippit, who was killed on Della Street about 45 minutes after Kennedy was shot. Oswald was later charged with the murder of Kennedy. He denied shooting anybody, saying that he was a patsy. 2 days later, while being transferred from the city jail to the county jail, Oswald was fatally shot by Dallas nightclub owner Jack Ruby in a full view of television cameras broadcasting live. One of the many reasons that we don't broadcast live anymore. Here's 2 murders live on TV within about 2 days. You got Lee Harvey Oswald supposedly shooting John F. Kennedy and whoever else was there or helped him, and then Jack Ruby killing Lee Harvey Oswald just a few days later. Oh, and not being on TV, but how many people knew that Lee Harvey Oswald, 45 minutes after shooting the president, why would he go and kill a police officer? Maybe this police officer stopped him. Maybe it makes a little bit of sense because maybe the police officer stopped him and wanted to question him. Lee Harvey Oswald got scared, so he kills the police officer. Lee Harvey Oswald, when questioned, though, says, "I didn't shoot the sheriff and I did not shoot the deputy." He said he didn't kill anyone and he was just a patsy. And a few days later, he was dead. So, whatever you guys take of that, I find it pretty strange. I find it very strange. That's what I'm going to say. We're still waiting for the JFK papers to reach Trump's desk. Do you guys think that these are going to actually be released today or ever? I don't know. I imagine eventually there's going to be some stuff that is released. But Roger Stone's sure pushing these things to be released. Lee Harvey Oswald of Mexico. The single bullet theory. this is such another strange thing. And maybe Lee Harvey Oswald, they better release it all. Hell yeah, they better release it all. Thanks for the comment there, by the way. Please subscribe. Christoph Urban. Do you think they'll release it all, though, Christoph? I don't know. This is what's going on right now. What I'm seeing is that I'm hearing a lot of talk of Lee Harvey Oswald's time in Mexico 3 weeks before, and a lot of talk of his 4 years in Russia those years before. Nothing about our CIA guys. The only thing that I'm hearing is this UN ambassador that was in Mexico while Lee Harvey Oswald was there a few weeks before, that he came out and said, I know Lee Harvey Oswald is going to kill the president. He said he was confident. Then there was another person who, who corroborated his story, basically said, I know the same thing's going to happen. I know that the president's going to be killed. Both of these guys at the embassy said that they knew Lee Harvey Oswald was going to be killed. Let's get into the single bullet theory again for you guys who don't know what the single bullet, or the magic bullet, as I like to call it, or a lot of people like to call it, is called. So this was introduced by the Warren Commission, which is probably an evil frickin' commission. In its investigation of the assassination of John F. Kennedy, to explain what happened to the bullet that struck Kennedy in the back and exited through his throat, given the lack of damage to the presidential's limousine, consistent with it being struck by a high-velocity bullet, and the fact that Texas Governor John Connally was wounded and was seated on a jumper seat 1/2 feet. Government to release 20... Oh, we just got an update. We just got an AP update. I'm going to the AP update right now. I just got it on my screen. Government to release 2,800 pages. Let's go there right now, guys. We could be getting the release right now. This is breaking news. 2,800 pages to be released. I thought it was going to be 3,100 originally, but here it is from the AP right there. AP. I just got the alert on my phone. JFK papers released. Where is it? I'm not seeing. If any of you guys see it out there right there, I have it on my AP. I'm filming on my phone. But I got an AP release that said they were going to be released with no further information. So they just said it, guys. 2,800 pages. They just officially said 2,800 pages will be released. Does this have Donald Trump's signature? Man, Trump has been waiting for them to bring this to his desk today. These guys have had 25 years to get this together. As of 36 minutes ago, waiting for the release of the JFK files from the Boston Herald. This is close, guys. This is super close. I can feel it. Let's go back to, sorry, I lost a few of you there. I'm sorry. I got excited, though. I thought that we were going to get the release there, and maybe some of these people left and went to the AP post to look it up for themselves. Kennedy papers to be released. They said originally 3,100 papers would be released. Of course. Well, this morning they were saying it was delayed as the deadline looms. Archives will be released shortly. It sounds like they're really saying that they're going to be released at any time. Trump to declassify documents at center of 1 million conspiracy theories. It's one of the biggest conspiracy theories, obviously, of all time. JFK files are about to be released by U.S. President Donald Trump. This according to The Independent. The declassification of the documents. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, excuse me. I got a notification in the bottom there. But there's a final batch of documents related to the 1963 tragedy that struck American lives and politics to its core. Ever since JFK's murder, conspiracy theories, of course, have abounded over his death. While many are unfounded, what the files could shed light on is the activities of Lee Harvey Oswald in the months before he shot the U.S. president during a Dallas, Texas parade. Trump has already called the file so interesting, although what this means is unclear. 4 minutes ago, here's the update. 4 minutes ago, White House just gave a background briefing to say it is releasing 2,800 documents tonight. 2,808 documents will be released tonight. The White House just announced this. I will be back tonight to read these freaking documents. We're going to go through these tonight. Tune in later tonight. I am super freaking excited. It's going to happen. Julian Assange was saying earlier, U.S. intelligence agencies seem to be determined to make Trump look weak by delaying JFK files after he promised their release today. JFK files aren't out yet, but Russia has already denied it assassinated him, which was super strange. Check out that link in the Independent, UK Independent. But the White House just gave a background briefing to say it is releasing 2,800 documents tonight. The remainder are being withheld at the request of the various departments and agencies, most importantly the CIA and FBI. So what do you guys think is going to be released tonight and what is going to be held back? Because as of 5 minutes ago, they just told us that there's going to be about 300 pages that aren't going to be released. They were already saying that they were going to be redacting things. Redacting to me is crossing out a sentence or two. If you're looking at national security, you're crossing out a sentence or two. You're not crossing out 300 pages. Why would they possibly need to cross out 300 pages of these documents before they can release them? What do you think, Christoph? If you're still on there, but what do you guys think? This is really strange. Really strange that Russia would come out and deny that they had anything to do with the assassination before they're even asked. That part I found very, very strange. It'd be interesting to see what Mexico has to say. A lot of those people probably aren't even alive. Yeah. I agree with you, Christoph. Something is going on. What do you guys think? I mean, I know Donald Trump, he's a loose cannon, a lot of other things and stuff, but do you think he's really trying to release these things? Do you think he's trying to use it as a publicity stunt? Do you think he's really that interested? Obviously, a lot of these comments that he put out are to feed his base because that's what Donald Trump does. He has a huge rabid base, and he comes out and he says these wild things, but he's been a conspiracy theorist himself. He's been on Alex Jones. He's been friends with Roger Stone for 45 years, who's been on Roger Stone, or been on Alex Jones, a lot, especially a lot the last couple weeks. I believe that Roger Stone is a contributor to the Alex Jones show right now on InfoWars. So, but yeah, like I said, he laid out the case. What are they going to reveal though, and how are we going to read them? There's going to be so many pages to go through. I might be going through these pages for days. So what I'm going to do is 2,800 pages that I'm going to have to go through. And the media is going to give me some help here, but I'm going to double check everything. What I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to try to make a lot of videos this week. But be patient with me. I have 2,800 pages to go through. So I'm going to bring out information as I can. Please subscribe, though. Please subscribe so you can see when this information comes out. I'm going to be going through these 2,800 pages with a fine-tooth comb. Me and my team, me and Ryan the Savage and Garth the Cosmos, if you're a regular watcher of this show, we're going to go through these things with a fine-tooth comb, and we're going to find everything that we can in these papers. And after doing more investigation of this, I'm going to take these and match these with a lot of the papers that were released in the 90s, and a lot of things that really haven't been talked about. And we're going to come to an actual conclusion. We're going to come between the three of us. We might not all come to the same conclusion, but we're all going to come to a conclusion of what happened if Lee Harvey Oswald was the single shooter or not, and who put him up to it. It almost seems obvious now that Russia was involved somehow. This is really strange. Why would Russia come out and deny that they had anything to do with the assassination of John F. Kennedy when they know that these papers are going to be released at the time of Donald Trump, and supposedly the Russians were helping Donald Trump get elected? I think they were helping Hillary get elected a lot more than Trump. I'm not a big fan of each, and I'm not here to preach my politics. I'm here to get to the bottom of this 54-year mystery that I've been looking at since I was a kid, since I was 13 years old. I'm 39, 26 years. This has been a curiosity of me. It's been an obsession of many conspiracy theorists and many people that were just alive during that time. But what will be released? What do you guys think is going to be released in these memos? I don't know. Obviously, Alex Jones has been, going off this week. I mean, he's been off the rails. I don't believe a lot of things that he says. He's discredited himself, but he's been right a few times. He's been right a few times for sure. So I don't discount everything that he's ever said, but I wish that he would be more truthful about some things and make sure that he does his research before he goes spouting his mouth off. But like I just said, if you guys are just tuning in, the FBI just officially announced 2,800 new papers from the files will be released. They're claiming they will not be retracted. We're going to have 2,800 pages of files to go through. I'm going to go through these with a fine-tooth comb. These are supposed to be released within the next few hours. And you can bet your ass I'm going to be going through these. Ryan the Savage is going to be going through these. Garth the Cosmos. Everybody on my team is going to be going through these papers. Guy you don't see behind the scenes. Guy I call David Know-It-All. He's behind the scenes and he does a lot of our research here. He's going to be going through this 2,800 page files and looking to find everything that he can possibly come up with. Rebecca of Reviews. Rebecca Review on our team. She's done a few things. She does a lot of behind the scenes thing. Cassandra Review. There's a lot of people behind the scenes on this show that are doing a lot of research that are going to be going over this 2,800 page document with me. So there's going to be a team of at least 8 of us going over these 2,800 pages this week, probably more. I'm recruiting people right now to go over these pages. Anybody who wants to help go through these pages, let me know down in the comments, or email me at mikebearandfriends@gmail.com. I'll put that link down below. If you guys have any information pertinent to me that would help out in this, please do that. Please give me a like and subscribe if you like what I do here. Hopefully this has been informational. We're going to go through, what do you guys want to hear me talk about? Do you guys want to hear me talk about the magic bullet theory? Do you want to hear me talk about Oswald's time in Russia for 4 years? Do you want to hear me talk about the 3 weeks that he was in Mexico before the assassination? The fact that he was waiting for Kennedy to come to Texas. This is getting super close to the release there of these files. The White House just officially announced they will be releasing 2,800 pages, and we will be going through them with a fine-tooth comb. This is getting closer and closer, and it's here. The time is here. Time is now. It's taken me a little while to go through a few of these things, but please like and subscribe to this channel because you're going to be getting a lot more material. Not all of it live. A lot of it won't be live. A lot of it will just be videos that I post on here. But I'm making a section and playlist, and it's going to be called the JFK Papers. You can go straight to my channel if you subscribe and go straight to the playlist, JFK Papers. And not only am I going to have links to all the papers so you can look through all the information for yourself. Thank you, Christoph, for subscribing. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Fosunblatt. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you guys are able to help me out, help me go through these papers. Send me things to my email, MikeBeerandFriends.com. I'm going to put my email down here in the comments. So this is the official email for the Mike Review site because someone stole my email before I could get to it. That was nice of them, and I'm not paying their ransom, but if you go to MikeBeerandFriends@gmail.com, you're going to that's going to be me. Send me files. Send me what you think, all your opinions and things. And like I said, we're going to have a special playlist dedicated for a while just to these Kennedy's papers, not just these ones. I'm going to be going through the ones back from the 90s because I was able to see some things that I wasn't able to see, that I hadn't seen in the past. This just drummed up a lot of new interest for me. I've been thinking about this for basically 26 years, since I was 13 years old, but this drummed up a lot of new interest for me, and I was able to find a lot of things that I didn't know from the past, and now I really want to look at those papers that were released in the 90s and see what I seen and what I missed. I definitely probably missed a lot. I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to those files, to be completely honest. John Hunt, of course, was on InfoWars yesterday. Said he's going to reveal secrets of JFK assassination. Of course he is. And Alex Jones is a conspiracy theorist. I mean, that's his base. He says the elite are extremely worried about the release of secret JFK documents. I think a lot of people are really concerned about this, though. So St. John Hunt is the son of Ewart Howard Hunt, who was directly involved in the Kennedy assassination. Hunt gives some insight into what the upcoming JFK document release may reveal. That's not according to me. That's according to InfoWars and St. Hunt. So don't put that on me. I'm going to go to the comments here. The fact that Trump isn't releasing some. I do like Trump, what he's doing. I like him, but the papers are supposed to be released, and he has no right to hold them back from us. Kathy Doyle, Bob Seeger, thank you for the comment. Agreed. It's been long enough. He said he was going to release them. Release them. Release everything. Who are you protecting? I don't know if he's under a threat. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on there that he would do that. But yeah, I'm in 100% agreement. Look over these papers with me, Kathy. These papers, 2,800 papers, are going to be released tonight in about 2 hours. And I'm going to be going through these with a fine-tooth comb, as well as my entire team. We have about 10 people here, but what's really going to help me is if you go to mikebeerandfriends@gmail.com, the link's there in the comments, and send me anything that you think that you see that I missed. And I will do I will do work on it. Yeah, I've seen that news reports. He won't allow the complete files. Thank you, Kathy Doyle. Yeah, I'd seen it at the AP. So the original dump was supposed to be 3,100 pages. They said that the CIA and FBI was redacting some documents. I wasn't expecting 300 pages of redacting. Redacting to me is like crossing out a few sentences, and I don't know. We need everything right now. We need 100%. Every single name, every single page. Release the entire thing. Get on Donald Trump's Twitter right now. Whether you're a supporter or not a supporter, get on his Twitter right now. Because obviously he listens to his Twitter. He blocks people on his Twitter. He's the President of the United States. He blocks people on Twitter. Anyways, I do find that a little ridiculous. But I am glad that he's releasing some of these files. Get on his Twitter and ask him, why aren't you releasing the other 300 pages? He probably will say eventually he will, like his tax return. We'll probably get him about the same time. But not trying to piss off any Trump fans there, not trying to piss off any anti-Trump people. I don't get into that. I don't have a huge opinion either way. He's our president, and that's what we got right now, and I hope he does the best for our country that he can, and I hope that everybody works together, and I think I've said enough about that. But these papers are really going to be interesting. So let's get back into St. John Hunt. I got off a little bit. St. John Hunt is the son of E. Howard Hunt, who was supposedly directly involved in the Kennedy assassination. That, according to InfoWars. I'm not sure what directly involved is supposed to mean there, but I don't know. I have no idea what directly involved means. There's not much of an actual article here. But why is Russia denying any involvement here? Why is this category under comedy? I'd probably be getting a lot more viewers if this wasn't under comedy, huh? Can I change this? I don't even think I can change this at this point. So, well, that would explain the lack of viewers, because I'm an idiot and forgot to change this from my category from comedy to news and politics or whatever this is. But no, 2,800 pages, that's a big thing though that are going to be released. I want to hear some more about this magic bullet that went from Kennedy's shoulder blade through his neck, through the governor's in front of his chest, then through his hand, finally lodging into his thigh. So this was the trajectory. This is why people call it the magic bullet. So this was the trajectory of this bullet. One bullet went up and hit 1, 2, through the back of the head of Kennedy, through the chest of the governor, 3, upwards, bounces upwards through the hand, 4, back down into the thigh, 5 points of contact for one bullet. So that's the magic bullet there. News reports he won't allow the complete. Oh, that's the last comment. Sorry about that, Kathy. Thank you again for contributing, Kathy. I hope you subscribe, and I hope that you'll look through this. Give me your thoughts on this in the comments, or in, you already have in the comments, but in the emails. And I will definitely read some of the things that you say if you can find something that I possibly didn't see. I'm near ending this for now. I'm going to try to come back later once the papers have been released. Now we know that the papers are going to be released. It looks like in about an hour. Let me look at my sources in here and see if I have an up-to-date, if I can get an up-to-date on when they will be released. They're going to release 2,000 pages. But are they going to give us an exact time? Are we going to get a live stream? If that's the case, I want to do like a picture-in-picture of your guys' reaction. White House to release 2,000 pages on Kennedy. 12 minutes ago, of course, the Washington Post says Trump holding back some JFK files, releasing others. I don't know how much of it's Trump's idea and how much of it's the CIA and the FBI, but he is the president. So, I mean, you know, there's something to be said about that. President Donald Trump acted Thursday to block the release of hundreds of records on the John F. Kennedy assassination, bending to CIA and FBI appeals to keep those secrets. So I don't know that he worked to really block the release of those, but he definitely caved into the FBI and CIA. So here, Trump gave out an official memo as to why he didn't release the entire 3,100 pages. They're going to be 300 pages short. Trump says, "I have no choice," in a memo according to White House officials. He was placing those files under a 6-month review while letting 2,800 other records come out Thursday evening, racing a deadline to honor a law mandating their release. So the rest of it could still happen. Trump says he has no choice on these last 300 pages. So here's the entire deal of those 3,100 pages. 2,800 will be released in just a few hours. 300 are being held back. Officials say Trump will impress upon federal agencies that JFK files should stay secret after the 6-month review, only in the rarest cases. So he's going to give them 6 months. They've had 25 years. Over the next 6 months, what do they need to go through in these 300 pages that they don't already know? They've had the files. They've had the files the whole damn time, since 1963. That's 54 years they've been holding on to these files. And they still need 6 more months to look over the last 300 pages. Whatever they couldn't find in 54 years, what are they going to find in 6 months? Are they waiting for somebody else to die? Does anybody know? Is there somebody else that's on their deathbed? You know, George H.W. might not make it another 6 months. I don't know. Of course, there's been the, communication brought up between John Edgar Hoover at the time and George W. Bush. At the times of the assassination, there's been whisperings that the Bushes were promised certain things like presidencies. And, of course, that's all speculation. I don't corroborate any of that as facts. But that the Bushes were offered certain favors in some kind of cooperation with the Kennedy assassination, whether that was meaning that they were involved or that they were just, hey, hush, don't say anything. We know what you say. We'll make sure that you and maybe your son become president on down the line. So just keep that under wraps. That I don't know. Of course, much of Thursday passed with nothing from the White House or National Archives except silence, leaving unclear how the government would comply with a law requiring the records to come out by the end of the day unless Trump had been persuaded by intelligence agencies to hold some back, which he was. White House officials said the FBI and CIA made the most requests within the government to withhold some information. Well, they're the ones that, they're the ones that are being accused here, basically, of holding things back. They're the ones the entire time that have been accused. No blockbusters had been expected in the last trove of secret files regarding Kennedy's assassination, November 22nd, 1963, given a statement months ago by the archives that had assumed the records. Then under preparation would be tangential to what's known about the killing. For historians, it's a chance to answer lingering questions, put some unfounded conspiracy theories to rest, perhaps give life to other theories, or none of that if the materials add little to the record. I already have a ton more questions than I have the entire time. The 3 weeks down in Mexico, the 4 years in Russia with Lee Harvey Oswald, the member of the U.S. Embassy in Mexico after Oswald left, saying he knows for a fact that Oswald's going to go to the United States and kill the president. And another friend there corroborated with him and said the same thing. Wow. That's pretty damn big for me. Two U.S. Embassy members in Mexico coming out and saying just weeks before that we know Lee Harvey Oswald is going to go to the United States and kill the president. So why were they saying that? Did they know that possibly the CIA was involved or the FBI was involved or that Lee Harvey Oswald just had a vendetta? Lee Harvey Oswald was a self-proclaimed Marxist. He was a former Marine, honorably discharged, I must note, and we weren't able to talk to him a lot, thanks to Jack Ruby, who killed Oswald on live TV, just like Kennedy was killed on live TV just a few days after the assassination. I hope you guys have learned something today. I learned a few things just from doing some more research today. We're going to get some more releases here soon tonight. Time is ticking, but I'm going to go ahead and let this one go for now. Thank you for everyone that tuned in. Please subscribe so you know when I'm live streaming again. Please send your emails to mikebeerandfriends@gmail.com or send them to me in my comments on this video or any videos. I'm going to make a playlist. You'll be able to go to the Mike Reviews It All channel, find the playlist, the Kennedy Files. Me and my team are going to go through those papers with a fine-tooth comb, and we are going to start releasing these things, what we find. And, we're going to do all the research necessary. We're going to take it to the investigators. I have an English major on my team. I have a teacher on my team. I have a comedian on my team. I have an astrophysicist. We actually have a lot of people on our team. This channel's starting to grow pretty quickly, but we're going to have the playlist just for the JFK Kennedy Files. We're probably going to be doing this for a while now because this is going to be a lot to go for. Let's say I will probably going to commit, unless there's not much interest, for the next 6 months going through the 2,800 pages. Making videos going through these 2,800 pages that are being released. Going through again the papers from the 90s, some things that I missed the first time. And then for the entire 6 months up to the lead up of these last 300 pages supposedly being released. So thanks again very much, guys. Thanks to those of you who subscribed. Please, anyone who hasn't subscribed yet, please subscribe quickly. I'm going to end right now, and you might not remember where to find my channel. So please subscribe and go to Mike Beer and Friends. Tell me what what you find out, what might help me, and look forward to a lot more videos on this. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys very soon.